Welcome to my economics class. Consumer's budget. We have only a fixed amount of money or income to spend on different combination of goods. So we cannot buy every combination of two goods. Given fixed income and prices of the goods, consumer can afford to buy only those bundle which cost less than or equal to her income. Or consumer can buy only those combination which cost less or equal to her income. This is consumer's budget. Budget set and budget line. Suppose the income of the consumer is denoted by M. Price of the apple is P1. Price of the mango is P2. If the consumer want to buy X1 quantities of apple, she will have to spend P1 X1 amount of money. That means price of apple multiplied by the quantity of apple. That should be equal to his amount of money. If she want to buy X2 quantities of mangoes, she will have to spend P2 X2 amount of money, which means the price of mango multiplied by the quantity of mango should be equal to his amount of money. So if she want to buy the bundle both apple and mangoes, she will have to spend P1 X1 plus P2 X2 amount of money. That means price of X1 into quantity of X1 plus price of X2 into quantity of X2. That should be equal to or less than M. M means amount of money. So, given the price of the goods and income of the consumer, she can choose any bundle which cost less than or equal to the income she has. So the consumer can buy the bundle such that bundle of X1 X2 apples and mangoes, P1 X1 plus P2 X2 should be the less than M, or P1 X1 plus P2 X2 should be equal to M. The set of the bundle available to the consumer is called the budget set. It is the collection of all the bundle that consumer can buy with her income at a prevailing market prices. This is the budget set of a consumer. The budget set can be represented in a diagram. Draw the x-axis. X-axis measures the quantities of apples. Draw the y-axis. Y-axis measures quantities of mangoes. Then budget line is a straight line. The consumer can buy all the bundles on or below the straight line with her income at prevailing market prices. This line is called the budget line. Points below the budget line represent the bundle which cost less than M. Budget line is a straight line with horizontal intercept M by P1 and vertical intercept M by P2. The horizontal intercept represents bundle that consumer can buy if she spends entire income on the apples, and Vertical intercept represent the bundle that consumer can buy if she spends entire income on mangoes. Slope of the budget line. Consider 2 points on the budget line. The first point is x1, x2. That is the quantity of apples and quantity of mangoes. Second point is x1 plus delta x1 and x2 plus delta x2. That is the quantity of apple plus change in the quantity of apple and quantity of mango plus change in the quantity of mango. Then slope of the budget line is the change in the quantities of mangoes divided by change in the quantities of apples. That is delta x2 divided by delta x1 that we have to find out. It measures the amount of change in mangoes required per unit of change in apples along the budget line. Consider the first bundle. Consumer can buy that bundle such that we already discussed P1 x1 plus P2 x2 is equal to M. This is the equation of the budget line. Then consider the other bundle. Consumer can buy bundle such that P1 instead of x1 you have to write x1 plus delta x1 plus P2 into instead of x2 you have to write x2 plus delta x2 is equal to M. Equation of new budget line, that is equation number 2. Subtract the first budget line from second. Open the bracket, we will get P1 x1 plus P1 delta x1 plus P2 x2 plus P2 delta x2, then subtract the first equation minus P1 x1 again minus because the sign will change P2 x2 is equal to 0. Cancel P1 x1, P1 x1 minus P1 x1, then P2 x2 minus P2 x2. Then we will get P1 delta x1 plus P2 delta x2 is equal to 0. P2 delta x2 is equal to minus P1 delta x1. Bring the first term into the opposite side, the sign will change. Then delta x2 divided by delta x1 is equal to minus P1 by P2. So the slope of the budget line is equal to minus P1 by P2 price ratios. Changes in budget set and shift in budget line. We already discussed that the set of available bundles or budget set, it depends upon price of two goods and income of the consumer. When the price of either of goods or consumer's income changes, the budget set will change. Shift in budget line when income changes. When there is an increase in income from M to M dash, both vertical as well as horizontal intercepts increase. There is a parallel outward shift of the budget line or upward shift of the budget line. M dash is greater than M. With increase in income, the consumer can buy more of both goods. When income of the consumer decreases, both intercepts decrease. There is a parallel inward shift of the budget line. If the income of the consumer decreases, availability of goods goes down. So there is a inward shift of the budget line. Shift in budget line when the price of one good X changes. If the price of good X or apples increases from P1 to P1 dash, the budget line becomes steeper. If the price of the apple decreases, the budget line become flatter. The horizontal intercept change to M by P1 dash. Consumer's optimum or optimal choice of the consumer. It can be represented by a diagram. First, to draw the x-axis. X-axis measures the quantities of good X, apples. Y-axis measures quantities of good Y, mangoes. Draw the budget line. It is a straight line. We already discussed the budget line in this video. Draw indifference curves IC1, IC2 and IC3. We already discussed indifference curves in previous videos. Consumer's optimum is at the point where budget line is tangent to indifference curve. Here, point C, where the budget line is tangent to indifference curve IC2. C is the consumer's optimum. Where the slope of the indifference curve MRS and slope of the budget line price ratios are same. Slope of the indifference curve is the rate at which consumer is willing to substitute one good for other. Slope of the budget line is the rate at which consumer is able to substitute one good for other. Bundles on the indifference curve above this point or on the higher indifference curve are not affordable. So C is a consumer's optimum.